أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين. This is the second lesson of the series of lessons for RSR 2013. Today we want to talk about a pure nature. What is a pure nature? And how we can say that we have this pure nature. What is the reason for that? Remember that the scholars in every religion, they try to find some reasons for the existence of God. And it is not just a new matter. For many centuries they try to find these reasons, and when you search some philosophical or theological books, you can find these reasons. And these are some of these reasons are good reasons to find and to know God better. But does it mean that they want to establish the thinking of existence of God? Or no, there is one God and they want to uncover from God, the existence of God. Pure nature tells us that there is no need to any reason to find God. At first, we can increase our knowledge about the attributes of God. For example, we say that God is merciful, God is compassionate, or we say that we relate, for example, justice to God, and we say it is necessary for God to do the justice and to have the justice. So these are the things that when we increase our knowledge about God, we can find these things. And for the first step, we believe on God. We believe on God in our heart. And it is not just for the believers who believe on any religion, no. Even unbelievers, they have this power in their heart, but they want to ignore it. They do not want to go through it and find their God in there. So there is a place in ourselves, in inner layers of ourselves, that God is there. And we must find when we refer to the pure nature of ourselves. So we say that all people, even kuffar, they have this sense in their heart, but they do not refer to this essence. So they are kafir, and the meaning of kafir is someone who covers something, and someone who does not want to uncover from this reality. So this is the fact that we have in our heart. And who established this power in us? Allah Ta'ala. God has given this power naturally. So when we refer to the ayat of Quran, we find the meaning of pure nature, and we find that we had it from the first day of creation. We must increase knowledge about God, but we have this ground in our soul, and this is a good ground to find God better. So look at this ayah of Quran Kareem, and it is Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 172. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قال ربك وإذ أخذ ربك من بني آدم من ظهورهم ذريتهم وأشهدهم على أنفسهم ألست بربكم قالوا بلى شهدنا أن تقولوا يوم القيامة إنا كنا عن هذا غافلين صدق الله العلي العظيم. And mention when your Lord took from the children of Adam, from their loins, their descendants, and made them testify of themselves, saying to them, Am I not your Lord? They said, Yes, we have testified. This lest you should say on the day of resurrection, Indeed, we were of this unaware. So, this ayah again is about the first day of the creation of Adam, after Allah Ta'ala created Adam and told to Malaika to bow to Adam as the best creature of Allah Ta'ala and as the representative of Allah Ta'ala. God gathered all the children of Adam from their loins, their descendants. So these are the people who Allah Ta'ala gathered them. It was a dialogue between Allah Ta'ala and all the children of Adam. It wasn't just Adam as the representative of all people, all human. No. Allah Ta'ala gathered all humans, the soul of all humans. Allah Ta'ala created all of them and then gathered them and talked to them. Allah Ta'ala wanted them to testify something. What was the thing that Allah Ta'ala wanted them to testify? Allah Ta'ala wanted to testify of themselves and saying to them, Am I not your Lord? Look at this sentence, this is negative. Am I not your Lord? So it is a negative question. Am I not your Lord? Allah Ta'ala didn't tell them that, Am I your Lord? Allah Ta'ala says, Am I not your Lord? And they said, Yes, we have testified. It means that they have the believing on God in their soul. So when they say yes, they replied Allah Ta'ala according to their pure nature. They didn't want any reason to testify that Allah Ta'ala is their Lord. They testified because they have this pure nature. But little by little, when they came on the earth, little by little, they forgot this thing, this testifying, and they try to cover this pure nature. And here at the end of this ayah, say, Indeed, we were on this unaware. They are in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, in the last day, they say we were unaware about this testifying. But we were aware at the first of the day of the creation, because there we said yes, we have this yes in our heart. If we refer to our heart, we can find it. We can find it without any reason. And after that, when we try to find reasons for the existence of Allah Ta'ala, it means that we want to increase our knowledge about Him. But we have it in ourselves. And this is one of the gifts of Allah Ta'ala to us, that we have this pure nature. And when we go back again to our pure nature, when we refer to our pure nature, we can find Insan Kamil there too. Because Insan Kamil is someone who said yes and who has testified, to Allah Ta'ala and he kept this from the first of the creation to the end of this world. He doesn't hesitate about Allah Ta'ala even one moment, even 1 second. No. He told at that time yes, and he says yes, and he will say yes. So this is Insan Kamil, that completely he acts on his pure nature. So if we as human, man and woman, if we come back to our pure nature, we can find there Insan Kamil. When we follow this Insan Kamil, we can say yes all the time. All the time. Because we are the descendants of Adam that said yes at that time. We are the same human. We have it in our soul. Another thing that we have is a mixture of natural and supernatural, material and spiritual essence, body and the soul. So I told you that we have pure nature, but this pure nature is not in our body. If I say that we can find it in the deeper layers of our heart, it is not this heart that we have in body, material heart. No. Because we are a mixture of natural and supernatural. We have body and the soul, material and spiritual. So it is not just a simple essence, no. It is a mixture essence. So we have body and the soul. Both of them are the gifts of Allah Ta'ala. But when we can find Allah Ta'ala, and where is this pure nature that we must turn back to it again? It is in our soul. It is in our soul. And how we can go to this pure nature? This is a question that we want to answer it and try to answer it. But in this part, we want to know that we are not just the body. We have the soul. And when we want to be near to Insan Kamil, when we want to go toward Insan Kamil, it is better to go to our soul. We must transfer from our body to go through our soul. So why? Because we are the mixture of these two. Look at this ayah of Surah Al-Sajdah. We have 3 ayats here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذي أحسن كل شيء خلقه وبدأ خلق الإنسان من طين ثم جعل نسله من سلالة من ماء مهين ثم سواه ونفخ فيه من روحه وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون صدق الله العلي العظيم. This is again about creation of Insan Kamil. So until now all the ayats that we recited are about insan and the first day of the creation of insan. It means that these are the powers that Allah Ta'ala has established in us and has given us from the first day of khilqat, the first day of creation. In this ayah Allah Ta'ala says, who perfected everything which He created. Allah Ta'ala at first created all the things in a perfect shape and began the creation of man from clay. So when Allah Ta'ala created all the things, malaika, angels, or the jinns, or earth, sky, all the things that we see, then Allah Ta'ala began the creation of man. But you know, Allah Ta'ala created malaika from light, from noor, and created shaitan and the jinns from fire, from nar. And then He began the creation of man. But He created man from what? Not from noor and not from fire. From clay. And you know, compare the clay to fire and to light. Because of this, that Allah Ta'ala created man from clay, Shaitan didn't bow to Adam, didn't have sajdah to Adam. And he asked Allah Ta'ala, is there any difference between clay and fire? You created me from fire, but you created insan from clay. So there is a big difference, big gap between these two. Shaitan wanted to say that, okay, this man that you created is from clay and it is material matter, material thing. It is not supernatural, or it is not something that can come among malaika or among jinns, because we are from fire and malaika is from light. So fire can come to light, but how can clay come to light and be among us? But Shaitan didn't know that this is one part of human. It is not the second part of it. Shaitan at that time knew that insan has just one part, material part. Then Allah Ta'ala made his posterity out of the extract of the liquid disdained, worse than clay. Then He proportioned him and breathed into him from His soul and made for you hearing and vision and hearts. Little are grateful. So look at this part of ayah, and breathed into him from his soul. So He began the creation of Adam from clay. This is the material part. And Shaitan just looked at this part of insan. But another breathed into him from his soul. Shaitan didn't know that Allah Ta'ala wants to breathe into Adam from his soul. And then Shaitan became jealous. He says, okay, I am from fire, but I do not have the soul of Allah Ta'ala in me. Malaika are from light, but they do not have this soul. But he is from, or she is from clay, but Allah Ta'ala breathed into him from his soul. So why? And Shaitan became jealous. When Allah Ta'ala knew something that Shaitan didn't know these things. Allah Ta'ala knew at that time that from this clay and from the soul of Allah Ta'ala, when Allah Ta'ala mixed these two together, the clay and His soul, He can create an insan kamil, someone who has the hearing, someone who has the vision, and someone who has the heart. Shaitan and Malaika just worshipped Allah Ta'ala. But Allah Ta'ala wanted someone who has the hearing to listen and eyes to have vision and heart. So we have three things here: hearing, vision and heart. These are some material things that we have, material organs of our body, but these are not material too. These are the mixture of material and moral. If we hear to the truth, we can have good vision. And if we have good vision and good hearing, we can have good heart. So this heart means soul. So we have the body and we have the soul. And Allah Ta'ala knew at that time, and knew all the time, of course, Allah Ta'ala knows all the time, that Insan Kamil, someone who turned back to his or her pure nature, can hear completely the truth, had a good vision to all the things, and had a heart full of Allah Ta'ala. But Allah Ta'ala says, little are you grateful. So why? Because little of people, they follow their spiritual and this part of their body. They just refer to this part, that they are from clay, and they just refer to the material part. But there are little people who refer to both of them, and little people, they can use their hearing and vision and heart in a good way, in the right way. These are the people who follow this Insan Kamil to use their hearing, vision and heart in the path of Allah Ta'ala and to find Allah Ta'ala. So we are two natures, clay and the soul of Allah Ta'ala. Another thing is this, number 5. God chose me. He elected me. Allah Ta'ala has given me all of these powers. But there are many creatures of Allah Ta'ala. Shaitan was among the angels. He was from fire, but because of the long worshipping of Allah Ta'ala for many centuries, Allah Ta'ala told him, okay, come and be among Malaika, be among the angels. But God didn't choose him, or God didn't choose even Malaika or the angels. God chose me as human to be the representative of him on the earth. And he elected me. When I said to Allah Ta'ala, yes, so Allah Ta'ala invited me to be his representative, and then Allah Ta'ala chose me and elected me for this responsibility. And every time we must know this, that Allah Ta'ala has chosen us, that he has elected us as the representative. So we have a very, very great responsibility. And then who Allah Ta'ala chose? Allah Ta'ala chose at first Insan Kamil to be the great representative of him on the earth. And if you remember, in the previous ayat we recited that Allah Ta'ala had some representatives that they are in higher rank, and in the highest rank And degree is for Insan Kamil, because God has chosen him for this responsibility. So we, as the followers of the Insan Kamil, men and women, are the people who God chose us for this responsibility. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم اجتباه ربه فتاب عليه وهدى صدق الله العلي العظيم. Surah Taha, ayah 122. Then his Lord chose him and turned to him in forgiveness and guided him. Then his Lord chose him after the creation, and after Allah Ta'ala asked him that, am I not your Lord? And he or she testified that yes, you are my Lord. Then his Lord chose him. Allah Ta'ala chose us and turned to him in forgiveness and guided. So because Allah Ta'ala has chosen us before, Allah Ta'ala guided us, and he will guide us in future. So because of this choosing, because of this election, Allah Ta'ala will guide us, and he guides us, and he guided us in the past, now, and in the future. By what? By whom? By Insan Kamil and by Quran. He will guide us, and he guides us now. So when we refer to our pure nature and find God, and when we see that Allah Ta'ala has chosen us, we see Insan Kamil, and by Insan Kamil Allah Ta'ala guides us. Number 6, a free will. I have the authority, I have the intellect, I have a pure nature, I am a mixture of natural and supernatural essence. I have free will to choose. Allah Ta'ala has chosen me, but he has given me a free will to choose. It is not just this that Allah Ta'ala ordered me to do something. If I have responsibility, I have a free will to fulfill this responsibility, to do it or to not do it. It is a very important gift of Allah Ta'ala to me. I'm not like the angels. People can be against Allah Ta'ala by their free will. People can say, okay, I do not want to do our responsibilities. People can say, okay, I want to ignore this responsibility. I want to engage in our daily life, and I do not want to think about these matters. I do not want to choose the right way. I want to go to the wrong way. Or even they say, okay, we do not want to pay attention to such as these things. You know, because we have free will. Because we have hearing, vision, and heart. So because of the three, we can cover our hearing, our vision, our heart. And we can be unbeliever, but we can be believer too. Because of this free will. There is two wills here. The first will is the will of Allah Ta'ala. The second will is the will of us. So the will of Allah Ta'ala allow us to think about the matters and to find the best way. In this way, the will of Allah Ta'ala is to guide us to the right way. But He doesn't force us to go to the right way. It is up to us to follow Allah Ta'ala or no, to be against Him. So there are two wills here. The first will is the will of Allah Ta'ala, and the second will is our will. The will of Allah Ta'ala is to guide us. Our will is to find the ways. And by this free will we can be believer or non-believer. And Son Kamil is someone who uses this free will exactly in the right way. And Son Kamil is someone who can completely find the best way. And if we follow this Insan Kamil, we can find the best way. So it is up to us. We must try to find the way. And Insan Kamil is a good sign to find the way. By our free will, if we use our intellect, we can find the way. Look at this ayah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا صدق الله العلي العظيم. Surah Al-Ahzab, and ayah is 72. Indeed, we offered the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they declined to bear it and feared it, but man bare it. Indeed, he was unjust and ignorant. This ayah is again about the first day of the creation. That Allah Ta'ala says, we offer the trust to the heavens. So there are three things here: heavens, earth, the mountains. And these are the symbols of all the creation. Allah Ta'ala offered the trust as amana to the heavens and the earth and the mountains. They declined to bear it. They couldn't bear it. Why? Because they feared it. You know, these things, heavens and mountains, at the first day of creation, they couldn't bear this responsibility because they feared it. Because they do not have the intellect, they do not have the free will. So they couldn't bear it because they didn't have this power. But insan, or the man, bear it by his free will or her free will. Because insan had free will, he or she could choose it and could bear the amana, trust of Allah Ta'ala. Another one is Surah Al-Dahr, and the ayat is 2 and 3. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. Look at this part of ayah. Indeed, we guided him to the way, be he grateful or be he ungrateful. Allah Ta'ala guided us to the way, to the right way. But some of us are grateful, some of us are ungrateful. So look at here, grateful, ungrateful. Shakiran, kafura. Inna, we hadaynahu sabil, guided him the way, to the way. But this is insan who can be grateful or ungrateful. These two parts show us that we are completely free to be grateful or ungrateful. It is up to us. And we now think that are we in a right way or in a wrong way? Because Allah Ta'ala guided us before. In the first day of creation, He guided us. If He asked us that, am I not your Lord? And when we said yes, Allah Ta'ala guided us to the right way. He chose us and guided us. But by our free will, sometimes some people say, no, I do not want your guidance, and we want to be in wrong way. The 7 is a superiority over other creatures. We are the best creature of God, and God has chosen us as His representative. So we have the superiority over other creatures. All the creatures has been created to serve me. They will give service to me, and I have the superiority over all them. The animals, the plants, all the things, even the sky, the earth, maybe one day all the planets. I have the superiority over all of them. So by this superiority, I can do many things. I can destroy the earth. I can make the earth. I can destroy all the lives of human. I can make the situation better and better to live in this world, because I have the superiority over other creatures. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد كرمنا بني آدم وحملناهم في البر والبحر ورزقناهم من الطيبات وفضلناهم على كثير ممن خلقنا تفضيلا صدق الله العلي العظيم. Look at this part. This is Surah Asra, and ayah is 70. And preferred them over much of what we have created. Allah Ta'ala has given us this power, and we are over much of what He has created. And number 8, the consciousness to distinguish good and bad. If we have the free will to choose, but if we do not have the consciousness, how can we distinguish what is good and what is bad? Free will is not just enough, because perhaps we have free will, but we do not have the consciousness to distinguish. If we do not have the consciousness, maybe we choose good as bad or bad as good. Or we can consider something that it is good as bad and consider something that it is bad as good. So free will cannot be practical here. Free will can be practical when we join it with consciousness. And this consciousness is another gift of our God. So we have 3 things here. Intellect, to think about the matters and the things. Free will, to choose the things. And consciousness, to distinguish what is good and what is bad. So we have this consciousness. So we are perfect. An insan kamil is someone who completely and totally uses this mixture and find the good way. You find the exact target. The consciousness to distinguish good and bad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها. صدق الله العلي العظيم. This is Surah Al-Shams and ayat 7 and 8. And by the soul, and he who proportioned it and inspired it, its weakness and its righteousness. So you look at here, and inspired it with its weakness and righteousness. So these two things, weakness and righteousness, and distinguish of these things are in our soul. Allah Ta'ala has given us these things too. Weakness and righteousness. Allah Ta'ala has given us the power to find these two. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. It is a kind of inspiring, and Allah Ta'ala inspired us to be aware about the weakness and righteousness. And number 9, all the things has been created for me. All the creatures of Allah Ta'ala has been created for me. These are the tools. The creatures of God are the tools to find God better and to find myself better. By my authority, by my intellect, by my consciousness, and the superiority over all the things, I can find God and I can find myself. And another thing, that is, God has created all for me as the tools to go to the right path. But most of the time people, they use the things as the tools to be in wrong way. They use their superiority in wrong way. And they think that Allah Ta'ala has created the things for us to use them in wrong way. No. If Allah Ta'ala has created the animals for me, I must pay attention to the responsibility that I have about the animals, the responsibility that I have about the plants, the responsibility that I have about the creatures of God. Insan Kamil is someone who knows all the things about and all the duties that he or she has about the other things, the other creatures. هو الذي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم صدق الله العلي العظيم. This is Surah Al-Baqarah and ayah 29. It is He who created for you all of that which is on the earth. So all the things that are on the earth, Allah Ta'ala has created for me. خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, He created for you مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ, all of that which is on the earth. جَمِيعًا, all. All the things is on the earth are on the earth is for me. The second one, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وسخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض جميعا منه إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Surah Al-Jathiyah and ayah 13. And He has subjected to you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth, all from Him. So in the first ayah we have خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ, He created for you all of on which is on the earth. So it is on the earth. And here we have He subjected to you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. So not just on the earth, all the things that they are in the heavens, all the angels, Allah Ta'ala has created them for me. all the stars, all the planets, all of the things in material world and in metaphysical world. All of the things are for me. So these are some tools that I have to find God. So I must think about samawat, the heavens, and about earth, to find God. And this is the vast domain of the kingdom of Insan Kamil, someone who is completely aware about his responsibility. And the people who follows him, men and women, they are like Insan Kamil. They know about the responsibilities that they have about samawat and earth, the heavens and the sky. So I have 5 important and valuable powers, and these are 5 important valuable powers: the intellect, authority, consciousness, free will, and pure nature. For this session, please write 2 pages. Every page is 250 words about the lessons and how can we use our consciousness or free will or pure nature to find Insan Kamil, and how can we be good follower of Insan Kamil by using these powers. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ahl baytihi tayyibin at-tahirin.